BA, this is a crunch situation. I'm doing the Let's Freakin' Rodeo podcast. I'm singing Joe B live with the lights on, and I forget the second verse. I got your Twin Peaks training cap on and everything. So it was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack to go and watch the man they call Joe B. He roped his calf, He jerked his slack, he tied that calf in 7 flat. Joe B. Tied that calf in 7 flat.
Yeah, he roped his calf, pulled the slack, his horse, he stopped, and then
he stops, he's getting back. That's what I'm leaving out. Yeah. He ropes his calf, he jerks his slack, his horse, he stops, he's getting back, tied that calf in 7. All right, we got to go.
Okay.
See ya.
All right. From the top.
Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B. Please don't beat me just because you can.
Welcome back to the Let's Freakin' Rodeo podcast presented by Boot Barn.
Today we got Gordy Alderson on the podcast. If you don't know him, he's a pretty world-renowned bit and spur maker.
Sir.
The stories he has to tell, singer.
He sung, he had a sponsorship opportunities where he was exchanging
one-liners.
One-liners, man.
There's a wide variety of stuff coming in this podcast. Thank you so much. I know we say it every week, but it means so much to each and every one of you that listen.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Check us out. I brought out one of the OGs, Upside Down Rodeo. We're sold out currently on the website, but at letsfreakinrodeo.com with an N, there's no G. Letsfreakinrodeo.com. You're going to be able to find caps like this we're bringing back and our new merch. It means the world. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys, for supporting. Like, subscribe, comment, send it to a friend. Comment, guess, y'all. Few podcasts back, we asked podcast guests y'all wanted. We went through the list. We picked some out. Comment, guess you want.
Keep telling us the guess you want. I promise we read every comment, and we might not be the best, but we're trying to be.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
we love you.
Support.
Let's Freakin' Rodeo.
See you in the pod.
We're here with Gordy Alderson, the man, bits and spurs maker, legend. When you're at a pro rodeo, when you're at a roping, you're at a big Western event, you're going to see Gordy Alderson equipment. So tell me about it.
Well, I could tell you, I guess, how I kind of got started. Born and raised on a ranch in Montana. And then when I was in high school, I saw this blonde-haired girl. She was 15 and I was 17. And that song, the first time ever I saw your face. Anyway,
I don't know if I've heard the song. We're going to revisit your singing later.
Stick a fork in me. I was done. And
you're done right there.
Right there. Yeah. I didn't know it at the time, but figured so. It was love at first sight for her. No, I'm kidding you. It was love at first sight. And ended up living in Arizona and raising a family out there for 40 years, and started making bits and spurs while I was out there. Rodeoed. The dream of going to the NFL and the calf roping and all that stuff. And quite honestly, watching some of the podcasts y'all have done, I realized how I didn't know anything at all. I was just out there. We come to Texas in 85 because my wife was a badass in college and high school. She won the all around at the college finals her freshman year and won second on the women's team, won the nation her second year in the goat tying, second on the women's team, won second on the women's team her third year. So I told her after she won the nation, I said, baby, we can go anywhere we want to go.
So, Cole, I guess this is what you'd call Gordy would be a buckle bunny.
Yes.
That was our first question in Rodeo for Dummies. What's a buckle bunny? Gordy is that.
A coattail riding buckle bunny.
Usually it's the reverse.
Exactly. And proud to admit it. So we go to Huntsville in 85. I got to hanging around with a bunch of crazy Texicans up there at Bozeman, like Chip Gatlin and Jimmy Stansel and Frank Krennick and just some good old boys. And Sonny Sykes was their coach. And I don't know if he sicked them on me to get to her. I don't know, Chip, you tell me. But anyways, just the nicest guys in the whole world. And I knew it was going on in Texas. There's this guy I'd heard of, I think his name was Joe Beaver, and stuff like that. And I'm like, baby, we can go to Texas. So we came out to Huntsville. And we were out there a couple of years and just got to absolutely loving Texas. And then she finished up her eligibility, go back to Tucson. And I didn't win anything in Texas. The first year I was out here, I didn't win anything. And my wife said, she told me this a while back, I felt so sorry for you. And I'm like, well, that's two of us. But, you know, and there was no divisions or anything at that point. Everything was straight up open. And, so I got to where I could rope a little bit and win a little bit, filled my permit out this way, blah, 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 and went back to Arizona amateur rodeoed, and then got my car, you know, I had my permit filled, and then waited a couple of years, got my card. And then the first year I rodeoed hard, I came pretty close to making the finals, but I didn't handle the rope very good. It's terrible, actually. And I had a horrible left hand. And didn't know anything about, like I said, I listened to some of these podcasts and listened to Monty talking and Moss talking and Joe and Fred and Roy and all this stuff. And it's like, man, and Shea Goods was wonderful. I get to thinking, man, I didn't know anything about anything, and still nearly made the dang national finals because I had a couple good horses and, you know, got lucky in the right spot, if you will. But anyways, it wasn't making a living with a rope wasn't in my future. We were getting close to, I think my wife was 27, 28. Our dear friends had a little baby boy, and her biological clock went into overtime. So we had a child, and, but I'd been fascinated with bits, like all of us are, like a moth to a flame. And the name we hear all the time, J.D. Tadlock, old Buff. I don't think they call him Buff because he's buff. I think it's because he's got a head like a buffalo.
I was hoping we could get him on here and ask him what they call it. I know I've been to Buff Steakhouse up there, you know.
Yeah. But anyways, so JD had a bit made by a guy up in Oklahoma named Jack Keith, and it was that mouthpiece right there.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, man, I could make that. I always liked welding and work with metal and stuff. I was working with a guy fabbing up some stuff. So I'd moonlight in his shop, and I made up about a dozen bits and took them to Denver. Well, I think I sold them for, maybe there's 10 of them. So I sold them for $40 a piece back then. And, $400 would get you to Denver and back and pay your fees and feed you back then. No problem. And so did that. And then there's a couple of weeks till Fort Worth. So I made up another batch and took them out there and didn't have any trouble. I just packed them around and didn't have any trouble selling them. And I'm like, I'm going to make bits. So I got a little horse. I just set up a shop in horse stall, bought a welder and a grinder, and just went to just figuring it out, you know, and didn't really have anybody to show me too much.
Self-taught.
So pretty
Self-made.
much, you know, there's some guys like Tom Balding's been a help, and then got to be real good friends with Robert Campbell, and he'd been doing it before me, but basically self-taught. And what helped me so much is because I was rodeoing. You know, if you play in the NBA, you might know Michael Jordan, and, you know, you might not, but you probably did. But when you're rodeoing, you know, all them guys that are your heroes, well, once you're hanging out with them, they're just friends, you know, and guys. So I got to start making bits for the best in the world from day one. And then they'd say,
Like who?
Roy Cooper, Fred come on in what, 90? I think.
Yeah, he won the world in 91.
Yeah, and so
I think maybe 90 was his rookie year.
I would bet, and Fred, you can check me on this, but I don't think in his whole entire rodeo career, I don't think I saw him run more than a couple calves without a bit that I hadn't made, in Spurs that I'd made him as well.
Wow.
And then Joe B too, you know, for sure.
Wow.
But it's right in the middle of those guys at the height of their career. And so, you know, you start making bits for those guys, and then, you know, you can see back to JD. He had that bit I really liked, and I knew it was a good bit, and JD was no stooge. And so that's what I started making, you know, first, because you couldn't get that bit anywhere, you know?
Really?
So, you know, then now I'm selling bits, and I took it for granted back then having the best in the world riding my stuff, just because I'm here, you're here, we're all buddies, and you know, you might as well use mine. But of course now it's morphed into something that's fantastic, and I've been doing it for so long. And, you know, now I'm making bits for kids as grandkids, you know, that type of stuff, you know? And so that's kind of how it got rolling. And it's just kind of like your podcast. It just when God tells you, no, build the ark, build the dang ark, you know? So that's what you got to do. And Deep Pickett told me one time, and I thought, well, duh. But he said, keep doing what you're doing. And I thought, well, why in the heck wouldn't I? Then I see so many people that get doing something and then they don't stick to it. And so here I am, 30 some years later, just same old deal.
This is a simple question. We've never talked on a podcast about bits. Every guy who rides a horse puts a bit in the horse's mouth. Talk to me. Has there always been the same bits? Is there new styles? Is there new, how does a different style bit affect the horse?
There's been a lot of new stuff come along, and that's a really good question. You still got the old flapper number 27. I mean, you take that port mouthpiece right there. Been around forever. And then I got another bit over there in that drawer, but it's basically a port that comes up and it's joined in the middle like a snaffle. And if anybody ever says that and they invented that, they're full of crap. Because I was looking through a book one time and the Roman soldiers were riding that 600 BC. So,
really?
Yeah. So that's, some of this stuff's been around a minute, but then you take and expand on it. Like the hinge port bit, Tom Balding was the first guy I know to start really making them. I don't know if he came up with it or not, but a hinge port bit is a cool bit because you got totally lateral on each side. You pull on that right rein, the right side engages. But then I went ahead and thought, man, how cool would that be if you made it, with flat bars?
Hold that up for the camera one time. We can see. So, but one side can move for that left rein.
Mm-hmm. It's extremely popular. I mean, anybody that's rodeoing that's going to watch this podcast, they've probably got one hanging in their trailer.
Wow.
I mean, they're really, really good. And then I thought, well, how cool would that be if you put twisted bars on it? And so stuff like that comes up. So there have been improvements. Back when I started making bits, nobody rode a chain bit, and then Paul Putzka came out with a chain. It's so simple. And then everybody starts riding chain bits. And then they invented the chain port, if you will. Not a lot of people ride a chain port. So stuff does evolve, but fundamentally, there's a lot that's still the same. That flat bar bit right there, that's one that, Neil Felton, great guy. He's been so good for my business. I'm in a super good hand, as well as me, but that's a customer of his that's coming to get. That's taken off the concept of the bits they rode on the polo horses.
Really?
And it looks severe, but you've got that big wide mouthpiece and you can pull. Think about polo. They're jerking on them horses more than calf ropers are, And so, a lot of, and I've obviously taken that and made it a Western. Ed Workman made it famous in the roping side of things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. To me, my knowledge is very limited. I was coming here excited to learn from you, but that kind of looked like a Workman to me. But just kind of your own spin on it. I mean,
I put some curb hangers on it. Nothing against Ed. He's a great guy. Knows he ropes better and knows more about bits than I probably ever will. But a lot of them would pinch. And so I just put some curb hangers on it, where it won't ever pinch one's lip.
Gotcha.
And it's not as much, but, it's more asking one than telling one. So if you can ask your horse, if you can put a bit in their mouth that you're asking them to do something instead of telling them, like if your wife says, take out the trash, but you say, hey, honey, would you be opposed to taking out the trash? Oh, baby. So if we can ask these horses,
that's an analogy right there, partner.
Yeah. And if we can ask these horses, then, when you get a run that if you pick up on one in the corner and he comes up and it's shocky, you're this far off the barrier, you might as well just score you. I've seen Joe Beaver do that. I've seen him go all the way to Tucson one time. Horse come up in the corner, and Joe was going to be about this far off the barrier. He just got off his horse and let him out of the box. But why not? He wasn't going to win nothing.
So you were friends with all these greats, making the bits for them. Were you listening to them? Were they telling you feedback? Hey, I feel this, I feel that, or were you just going off of your craftsmanship?
Well, a combination of both. Like there's a bit laying around here. It's right here in front of me. I call that a primetime bit. Now that's the same concept of the bit that you rode when you won Houston.
Yes, sir.
A little bit shorter shank, but the whole idea here is this mouthpiece floats in there. Well, J.D. Tadlock and Clay O'Brien Cooper had a bit, and the guy drilled a hole through the bars, and he had a staple. The staple worn smooth off, and it wallered out the hole, and that port would go 180 degrees. And I thought, man, so all you got is it's kind of like the perfect bit, except I think I was making them for him, but great guy, I'm sure. But anyways, and there's room for everybody in this industry. But I thought, I'm just going to make them worn out from day one. And so, I mean, as well as me, if you need to see that at Houston and you see that with that bit, you can probably do this and might not be as quite as stingy in the field, but man, you can float to that barrier line and then take your tucks on the right-hand side and go get it on, stuff like that. So that, the fact that guy made that bit, but he didn't make it the way he made it, to design it the way he made it. And I thought, all right, I'll pick up on that. So, and there's been a lot of guys now that are throwing, there's been a lot of guys that literally copy me. I don't care. I don't know. There's room for everybody, Well, the guys that copy in the wrong way is a little annoying, but most of them are great,
Yeah, we deal with that plenty. But speaking of...
You ready to pick up that mic? The people already know what's coming.
What is it, baby?
Telling us, we're going to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Boot Barn.
Not only did you make me and guys like me and Cole look professional, you take what you love to feed America, protect America, and build America into our lives every day.
Boot Barn's been working with us for multiple episodes now, and y'all know what the deal is. They sponsor over 600 rodeos across the country, have over 450 store locations. So if you want something from the East Coast to the West Coast, North, South,
coast to coast, baby.
They support us. They support our industry. They support Ty's event. They just support this career path that we do. Big thanks to Boot Barn. If you need Western gear, please go to Boot Barn and shop everything you need, and they got you covered.
I don't know if you saw, but these slick new boots, you can get some like that at bootbarn.com or visit one of your locations from coast to coast. 450 locations.
Thanks, guys, and let's get back into the podcast.
People copying you, do you teach? Have you taken on people, interns, mentored people in this?
Yeah, I used to take some guys in and I charge them a little bit, and I don't do it anymore, but I tell you what, it's real gratifying to me. There's a guy down in South Texas, Bill Holland. He was flying a helicopter down there on the border, keeping America free. But he'd come by the shop and hang out with me, and I showed him everything I could. And now he's retired, and God, he's been making stuff forever, and so appreciative. And then, like, the guy that's worked for me out there for 15 years, Luis Babuca, he's in Tucson right now. Man, if you order a set of conchos, I'm going to send you to him, and he's making stuff, and I send him stuff. And then you got Tristan Mahoney making a bunch of bits. He was a realtor, and I don't know, that guy's IQ is like 1,000, he's a smart son buck, but it's like, man, he saw the lifestyle probably that I had, and he's like, man, I can do this to stay at home, and wife and 2 kids, and now he can work at home and does a great job. Preston Williams, same thing, come down to the shop a lot. He won the world's greatest roper deal at Reno when he beat Trevor and everybody doing that. So he's a roping some buck, but now he's doing a lot of the working cow horse stuff. So he's picked up a lot of that market, and he's taken it to the next level. He makes some really cool stuff. And then there's another kid worked for me for a year, Jesse Hoover. Man, I encouraged him. I said, dude, you should start making bits. And he's got a bunch of stuff hanging. Got him hooked up down there at Teskey's. Oh, I got to do him in half. Oh, there we go, Teskey's. So I'm going to be like a NASCAR guy. This is my son-in-law. He built our house.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Your house looks sharp when I pulled it down the driveway.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. RTB Custom Homes and Construction.
There you go. Absolutely. One the best home builder in Parker County or some dang thing.
Come on.
Maybe the whole world.
You make bits, obviously, but from what extreme to the other things are you making?
Bits, spurs. Spurs, and I made these buckles, made these for Chet White's backseat buckles. Trevor said they're the best. I'd take a lot of time making that silly little pin so they'll cinch up good, and we'll bulb out when you cinch up. But basically, bits and spurs. I try to stay away from belt buckles and jewelry and all that stuff and conchos, because I like helping somebody win in the arena.
Yes, sir.
Like, for example, Dylan Hancock. The other day, he bought the paint from Riley, and I'm watching somewhere, and I'm like, I seen that horse come up a little bit, and I called Shane or I called Dylan or something. I said, man, I think I might have some help that horse. And Shane was driving by, and I popped him up just a plain one of these, this right here, with just a leather mouth, and sent it out there. He just scuffed it on him at Logan. The horse worked outstanding. So just, that's kind of what I like. I like to see. And a lot of guys, they love making buckles and conchos. Man, buckles and conchos never won anybody $1. So I kind of like to focus on the bit side of things, not anybody can make a pair of Spurs, but you can find a pair. And I've had a lot of people love my Spurs. They're light, they're strong, they're tempered up and all that good stuff. And they ride your boots good and all, but I like to focus more on the bits and try and make something that's really going to help people, help people win.
Like he asked how broad you go. Pretty much for how long you been doing this? 30 years? 30?
Yeah, more. 30, 31, 32, 33, something.
We're looking at 32 years of what you do. How have you stayed so disciplined? And it's a tedious job, but I mean, that takes a lot of discipline and to do this every single day for so long and be so good at it. I mean, how do you ever feel like
3 kids in private school with crooked teeth?
Come on.
Yeah. We like to eat ribeyes, I mean, just always been kind of self-motivated. Man, I hadn't had a job in a long time. And a real good friend of mine, old Gary Burton, he told me one time when I was still in college, way before I started making bits, he said, don't let them get you coming into that office. They get you coming into that office, they got you. And I'm like, I must have subconsciously absorbed that because I was 6 units away from a business degree at the U of A, and I turned out. Man, if I get that degree, everybody's getting their resume out, and I thought, man, that's one thing I do not want as a job. I'll take a task, but I don't want a boss.
No, sir.
No. And I mean, for all you youngins out there, stay hooked, keep your overhead low. You can figure it out, man. Wow. There's so much stuff on YouTube now about how to make it. Look at your podcast and where it's going and how you do it. And I'm thinking there might be a few nights here lately where you don't get 10 hours of sleep.
Hey, y'all stay away from podcasting. it's competitive enough.
There's too many people in it.
I'm talking about there's a lot of information out there on how to make it. I mean, listen to Rogan. He talks about, I don't care how trapped you are. If you stick it out, and I mean, if you want to go into a trade, be a trade and then start your own go to plumbing school and then be a plumber and employ plumbers. Whatever.
I learned this whole process. Like you just said, I'm self-taught on YouTube. There wasn't no YouTube or internet when you're learning. So you talked about self-taught, but what was the process of being self-taught?
Man, just trial and error. I tell you, I mean, to make this stuff back in the day, I mean, I had a pipe. I had a vise with a pipe in it and I'd walk around it like Arnold Schwarzenegger in First Terminator or whatever, or what was that one where he was Conan or something. Walk around that vise till I'm busy making rings, cut them with a hacksaw, and then cut that part, bend it up. I mean, it just took forever, but literally take scraps of stuff and turn them into bits, It's a funny story. When I was getting started, Todd Sloan come by and I'd had one I'd made, and because he's a tightwad, in case you didn't know. I had one I'd thrown over there in a bucket, and he said, what about this? And I said, man, I don't think that's a very good bit. I said, you can have it if you want. And he went and rode it and won the average at the national finals with it, with his neighbor's trailer that he borrowed for the weekend. I think he hauled it all year too. But anyway, so I'm like, well, maybe that is a good one, but, you just get after it. It's like the guy asked the horseshoer, he said, how do you keep your toes from getting stepped on? He said, keep shoeing. Just keep shoeing.
How many you think you make a year bits?
Man, I don't know. People ask me that, typically I have help. Right now I don't have any help. I had help for 30 years and my output goes way up when I got help. I'm probably going to get some help again soon, but I try to make 2 or 3 something a day. And if I got help, I can make 3 or 4, wow. But I mean, like I get to the house before this because Kelly's like, dinner's ready. But man, I tell you what, for years, my day was in 3 sections, morning to noon to dinner, and then from dinner till, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, just for years and years, just out in that shop, just pounding them out,
What is that like for your mind? I mean, this is a by yourself business.
I tell you what, just tired for 30 years. But the good thing about it is autonomy. I would stop doing all that and I'd go play with my kids they went to a wonderful Christian school and I'd go play PE and I was the only dad there. had a way cool gym teacher named Mr. Jones. And man, and when I showed up, he'd be on one team, I'd be on the other. We'd get after it. But so the memories you get, and if we wanted to go on vacation, we just go on vacation. I mean, you leave about half broke and stay about half broke and come home dead broke. But, you know, we just, autonomy is just a big deal to me. Just that freedom is a really big deal. So we just been, and I've had plenty of family help. That welder over there, it's $5,000 welder. My mom said, "Do you need a new welder?" I said, "I would love a new welder." And, you know, she bought me a welder. So I've had help. It's kind of like when, Moss's grandma, I think she lent him the 500. My mom gave me the welder. So I'm way more spoiled than Mossy. But,
he'd love to hear that.
Yeah, he's a Texan, that guy. I tell you, man. Well, I told him the other day, though, Sid Miller called me a great Texican on TV, but he ain't buying it. Unless you got a water birth in the Brazos, you ain't a Texan.
A water birth in the Brazos.
This guy's got some sands right here.
Yeah, him and Cade swore, unless it's a water birth in the Brazos, you ain't a Texan.
So, your list stays long. You write them down in a journal. I mean, you look pretty.
It's an absolute mess. I tell you what, for 30 years, I was good at that list. And a couple years ago, I would write down every day. I'd total up at the end of the day everything I made. I'd put a dollar amount to it. At the end of the week, I'd total it up, and I'd total out my week. And I tell you what, if you want to make some money, write it down. And it made me a lot of money. And but I got out here, and man, I'm debt free, and I'm 62 right now. I got 3 grandkids and 3 kids within 10 miles of me. And I thought, you know what? I'm done writing any of this down. And as far as my list goes, I got to apologize to everybody. I'm not as good at sticking to it. For example, Peyton Scario, anyways, real nice gal she just bought Bo Peterson's Roan breakaway horse. She called me a couple of days ago. She says, "I just bought that Roan from Bo." And I said, top of the list. And I do that, and it don't, people buy a new horse from somebody and they're riding one of my bits. They can't get somewhere else. I usually take care of them at least once, you know, and then because, I mean, that's kind of why I'm doing it. So I apologize. There's a lot of people but no offense, Peyton, but Peyton's not maybe she's probably going to be a big deal, but she's not. It's not like I stopped to do it for you because you're a big deal. And, but I just love people, like helping people out, love all my customers. I'm so dang blessed with all the customers I have.
You got any stories that you'd like to tell about maybe getting the shaft, maybe getting some bad customer, bad?
Oh, I tell you, man, yeah, my wife, she'd been on me for years, I used to just bill people. I just put their bit in the box and send them a bill with an envelope. I don't recommend that a whole lot. You know, you might not want to do that. And I've got a handful of people we'll send stuff to now, but they'll abuse you. You know, I think when I finally said no more, I probably had, this was many years ago back when the dollar was worth something, but I think I had 20, 30, 40 K in outstanding. So that's how bad it got. But anyways, the people, some of them will get you.
Take that payment up front now. Half after.
If your credit card don't clear. And there's a lot of people I'd ship to if their credit, because half the time I write the number down wrong, or I've got a lot of people I'd ship to just even if their credit card doesn't clear, but I usually wait because it makes it a nightmare for my wife on the bookkeeping deal. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, you know, I said a guy today, he's a good buddy of mine, Ben Notgrass down there in San Antonio. I wrote a number down on his card wrong or something. I said, you can just ship Ben stuff if you want. You don't have to worry about him. And she's like, man, let's just wait because it's a nightmare on the books, you know. She
been running your books for all this time?
Yeah. My books and records, my records are Merle, they all got Merle Haggard on them, you know. I don't keep stuff worth a dang, you know. Yeah, she does. She does.
So
all that. She does all that.
One might say Gordy Alderson might not be Gordy Alderson without that woman.
No, there's no question about that, man.
It pays to be a buckle bunny, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I got super lucky when I got her. It's funny. We was riding along in Montana one time, punching cows, and you know, them women are sexy when they get all gussied up and stuff, you know. But Man, when you got a cowgirl out there and just out on the range and they're roping and riding, that's sexy. And so we're riding along up there on the Custer National Forest, Bones Brothers Ranch, Bernie, Montana, and I look up and we see this airplane. It's about 30,000 feet in the air, and that thing stopped in midair, and not a helicopter, a dadgum airplane. And we're looking at it. I said, what do you think that thing? She said, what's he doing? I said, that son of a bitch stopped to get a look at you. I said, no, right under that tree over there before them people crashed. But I got the good end of that whole deal. And, yeah, no, she's been amazing for forever. And I tell you what, like, we're debt free now and doing okay, but we've been, I mean, there's for 30 years, it was like, we got to get them packaged. We got to get that stuff in the mail, get these just, you know how it is with everybody, but now we're in a better spot, which is fun.
Tell me about this singing.
That's a great story. So a buddy of mine, O'Brien Anderson, Twin Peaks Training Center, and he's one of them guys, he's been a friend forever.
I just kept ready.
But he and he made the finals. He's a really good horseman. Made the finals in the 90s team roping. And we'd have big fun, and we'd always kind of make up lyrics for songs and stuff. And he says, I got a song. And I said, what is it? It says Joe B to Dolly Parton. And he just kind of had the chorus and maybe the first couple lines or two. And after that, I mean, he gets more credit than me because he come up with it. And then it was like Heartbreak Hotel. They wrote it in 18 minutes. We finished it up the day we recorded it. And, but yeah, it's funny. I think it might have gone aluminum, but,
when I'm talking about platinum gold with records.
I didn't know what he was talking about. You lost me. That went right over my head.
But category.
Anyways, we wrote that. I tell you what I did is I sang it to Joe. Oh, and that Brian Anderson, he's one of those guys I'll send bits to.
But I forgot you sang the infamous Joe B song.
Yes.
I forgot.
That's my first thing right here. Joe B song, remix of Jolene.
Infamous is the correct word.
Hold on, give us what is it?
Well, so I'm at Tucson one year, and we had it started, and I start singing the third verse, which you'll hear here in a minute, and I paused, and Joe said, "Shucks," and you'll get it when you hear the song, but he didn't say shucks. And we hadn't finished it up. So later on that year, he calls me and says, Gord, I got to have that song. Because he came out with his video, and his video is fantastic. I don't remember what it's called, but it's Life of a Champion or something like that. It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But they put that song on the video, but they took out the third verse, which is the best verse. And that's not the only wedding I sang it at. I sang it at a wedding in South Dakota. I said, I'll sing you all a wedding song. And Kelly and Jason got married, and I said, I'll sing you all a wedding song. And they said, we want Joe B. And I'm thinking, we've only just begun. The keeper of the stars. They want to hear Joe B. So I get up at the band and I'm singing Joe B. And Kelly calls Joe. She says, hey, Joe. I said, Gordy's singing a wedding song and she holds funny. He can hear it. He says, God, I love that guy. But I love you too, Joe. So anyways.
We're going up there to get this on record.
And we'll see if we can get through it. But it's a wonderful song. Now I'm going to say shucks, because of the situation, but Joe didn't say shucks. So anyways,
he said shit
for it. No, but you'll know because it rhymes with luck.
Oh, okay. I ain't saying that one.
I got you.
So it says, I pulled out of the rodeo grounds, winning first in both go rounds. Check the list, and I seen the name Joe B. I'd sure like to win first place, but to lose to him is no disgrace. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B. Please don't beat me just because you can. Now Joe was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack to go and watch the man they called Joe B. When he roped his calf, he jerked his slack, he tied that calf in 7 flat. Hold on. He roped his calf, he jerked his slack, he tied that calf in 7 flat. Oh, man, can you believe I choked?
No, I cannot believe that.
We're going to have to start over. We're going to
have
to
do whatever you want, baby. You do whatever you want. I'm getting chills right there.
Hold on.
Right there,
Joe was roping in the slack, so he rolled out of the rack to go and watch the man to come. He roped his slack, he jerked his slack, he tied that calf in 7 flat.
Oh, man.
It says something, and you meant something, Joe B. I remember it from the wedding.
So Joe was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack Go and watch the man they call Joe B. He roped his calf, he jerked his slack. He roped his calf, jerked his slack. He tied that calf in 7 flat. Well, this is crazy.
This is crazy.
I'm choking.
You were too worried about your cap coordination and forgot your song.
Don't worry about your sponsorship obligations.
Joe was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack. You go and watch the man to call Joe B. Well, he roped his calf, he jerked his slack, he tied that calf from 7 flat.
Unbelievable.
Shit.
It's okay.
This is the best pause we've had out of all the pod.
Usually we would edit this, but this is
No, we got to edit this. This is embarrassing. It's like forgetting the words to Amazing Grace.
I can't believe
offense.
I can't believe you forgot.
Joe was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack.
You said
Go and
what? I
watch
was
the man they
singing this on
call
the web.
TV.
Where can
I
we
remember
find
the
it? Where
first
can
verse,
people
though.
stream it?
You can't find it anywhere. We're streaming on Let's Freakin' Rodeo.
You can't YouTube it?
But you're gonna have to.
If
so I
you can
remember the damn
YouTube
words.
it, I'm not smart enough or technological enough because I
I
look
don't think
everywhere.
it's on there.
We got to
Man,
find
I'm
it
gonna have
first.
to call BA.
Arnold, we'll call him right now. We got to know this, man. You can't find it anywhere, dude. I spent an hour on the way up here.
You're looking.
Yes. You talking about Mr. Arnold, right? Mr. BA. We got a question.
Brian Anderson.
Oh,
Different BA.
different BA. I apologize. I'm going to call you back. There's 2 legendary BAs. I'm sorry. I've never heard anybody call BA besides you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Have a great one. You're still awesome. Bye.
Who's your BA?
Brent Arnold.
Who's your BA? He said,
BA, this is a crunch situation. I'm doing the Let's Freakin' Rodeo podcast. I'm singing Joe B live with the lights on, and I forget the second verse. I got your Twin Peaks training cap on and everything. So you remember the second verse? Joe was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack to go and watch the man they called Joe B. He roped his calf, he jerked his slack, he tied that calf in 7 flat. Joe B. 7 flat.
Yeah, he roped his calf, pulled his slack, his horse, he stopped. And then
His horse, he stops, he's getting back. That's what I'm leaving out. He ropes his calf, he jerks his slack, his horse, he stops, he's getting back, tied that calf in 7. All right, we got to go.
Okay.
See ya.
That's amazing.
All right, so how are we going to just roll back here?
You roll wherever you need to, baby. That's gold.
So, okay, no, we're editing all that. I can't forget the word.
We got to put the call in there. That was gold. That was
Oh,
gold.
we got to.
Yeah, no, you guys do what you want. All right, we're taking it from the top.
Get it, baby.
We're taking it from the first.
You're going to give me chills right there.
All right.
From the top.
Here's Joe B. Well, I pulled out of the rodeo grounds, winning first in both go-rounds. Checked the list and I seen the name Joe B. I'd sure like to win first place, but to lose to him is no disgrace. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B. Please don't beat me just because you can. Now Joe was roping in the slack, so I rolled out of the rack to go and watch the man they call Joe B. Well, he roped his calf, he jerked his slack, his horse, he stops, he's getting back. Tied that calf in 7 flat. Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B. Please don't beat me just because you can. Well, the calf kicks up, Joe's out of luck. He rears back and hollers, shucks, that's when we knew for sure it was Joe B. Well, he mashes his hat down on his head. You can't repeat what he just said unless you put your kids to bed. Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B. Please don't beat me just because you can. His old body's shot, but he's 1-2 mil. If she'll take the tie, he'll beat you still. The 10th go round, he'll get his fill. Joe B. All about the time you think he's done, he'll tie one down in 7-1. 20 years, that's quite a run for Joe B. Joe B, Joe B, Joe B, Joe B. I'm begging of you, please don't kick my can. So that's the Joe B song.
That's freaking good.
It's
man.
rank, bro.
Sent that to George Strait on a CD and called him up and said, well, do you like that Joe B song? He says, not really.
That's pretty
So
good.
anyways, he's got a great sense of humor.
That's pretty good.
Because everybody loves Joe B.
It went aluminum.
Because obviously
Went
the song's
aluminum.
amazing.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, that
Hey,
was
thank
that
you
was
for
big
keeping
fun.
it kid friendly. Let's Freakin' Rodeo is a family friendly show.
Family
so thank you
friendly
very
show.
much.
Yeah, everybody can figure that one out.
how many times have you sang that song, you think, in front of a live audience? Is it only the couple times at the wedding?
Man, the cool thing about it was at Haven's wedding, Shea Good's just wearing me out. You got to sing Joe B, And I'm like, absolutely. But, Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. So anyways, everybody knows it. So I'm singing, go to the chorus of Joe B at Haven's wedding. And I swear 70% of the people there were singing the chorus. So that's just how much influence Joe B still got to this day.
There's a video of that night. That was
might have been, but it was big fun.
I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere, but
gosh, dang.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was your one song. You said you had another?
All right, guys, welcome back to another weekly segment of Rodeo for Dummies presented by Shady Rays. First, we got to talk about Shady Rays. Shady Rays is a proudly independent sunglass company that can offer high-quality sunglasses that can rival, the biggest brands that you could think of.
And we're talking about premium polarized shades.
They got durable frames, crystal clear optics.
Outdoor, indoor, driving down the road, whatever you got, Shady Rays has you covered. Lord knows me and Coin got the same style. Shady Rays has a wide variety for each and every one of you.
And here's the best part about Shady Rays. They have a lost and broken protection plan that if you've got something going wrong, they got you covered and they'll get you fixed up.
Me and Cole are sure you're going to love them when you get them. But if not, go ahead and order them, because if you don't, you have 30 days to send them back. And Shady Rays has a fast support team that will take care of you. And for Let's Freakin' Rodeo listeners, you can get 35% off using the code LFR35.
35% off. For our listeners, you can join over 300,000 people who have given 5-star ratings.
And let's get to our Rodeo for Dummies.
Rodeo for Dummies this week. Usually, last two we've done them by ourselves, but we're going to include Gordy on this one, so let's do it.
We're going to get in this podcast and we're going to talk about the deep dive into what you do. But for the people that might not know, or what is a bit and what use does that have in rodeo world? Or the Western world for horses?
Yeah. So a bit that's what goes in a horse's mouth. And then you got I don't think I got one on a headstall right here. Anyways, it's on a headstall, and that's what holds it up in the horse's mouth. And this is the mouthpiece. This is just a port bit. That port basically it's not high enough to hit the roof of their mouth and aggravate them. It's just a place for their tongue to go. This looks like quite a lot of bit. It's not that much. It's never going to hit the roof of their mouth. The shanks are swept back. It's not real severe. And that's a place for their tongue to go. Reins go down here, curb chain here. When you put a curb chain in a bit, when you pull on it, the curb chain hits here and it creates leverage against the bars. The bars of the bit come against the bars of the horse's mouth. And that's how you signal them. And if they're broke right, when you put that tilt on them, the curb chain's up here, the mouthpiece is here, it gets them to break over here. When horses are hollowed out, they can't lift their shoulders. So when they break at the pole and lift their shoulders, then they can be athletic and they can work. So that's an example of a curb bit. There's a hackamore, goes over their nose. Your curb chain's here. It works just off their nose.
Nothing in their mouth.
Nothing in their mouth.
Okay.
Nothing in their mouth. And these are good. They've got their niche. A lot of guys don't like them, but they've got their application. Sometimes you can have a horse that's just had some fits or something and doesn't like something in their mouth. Put a hack on them, go to win it. That's what Butch rode on Wit forever. And then there's another thing they're good. They're good for mount guys, because a lot of guys, if they pull on one, you can't hurt their mouth because there's nothing in their mouth. And then this bit right here, this is designed to be typically ridden without a curb chain. So you got all this travel right here. I'm going to set the mic right there and show you how it works. You put it, so you're going to go here. As it slides up all the way in the mouth, it's going to put pole pressure and it's going to work on the corners of their mouth. But most of the time, you're not riding these with a curb chain, so you don't get that lever. Like Chaton, he rode gags on stuff, and that guy would get off and he'd pull on them horses and he'd pull them in the ground. But they had a gag in their mouth and he was coming back with it. So you can pull one in the ground. That a lot of people, I got a buddy that started, I don't know, he figured he started 1,200 colts, and his favorite bit on those horses was this bit with just a chain. So you got a gag bit. That's what we basically have here. You got a gag bit and then a hackamore and then a curb bit. One thing that people don't understand is this bit with the great big bars, they think that's more severe. It's not. I mean, That right there hurts
Hold
more.
on, question.
Not a question.
Go ahead.
Raising my hand because I was one of those people that just wasn't knowledgeable enough. I thought, man, that thing we're ready to get hold to one. I was riding this old practice horse pulling, and there wasn't no pull.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
Like 3 years, maybe 3 NFRs in.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's the truth. The Rodeo for Dummies episode is for me.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about it is you know they'll push on something like this. It's like the difference between that and that. You know, some guy pokes you in the chest, you might swing at him, but if he puts his hand up, he's trying to stop you. So they're cool because you can really go ahead and stuff one in the ground without hurting them and not scare them. You know, so I've made so many of these bits for so many calf ropes through the years, you know, and then like this leather bit, it's kind of a new type of deal, but man, if you got a horse that's almost too light and scared of the bridle at all, you put that on him with a leather curb chain and you can have him kind of pushing in your hand because you don't want them, if they're behind your hand, they're off the bit and it's like having too much play on your steering wheel. You don't have any feel. And if they're running through the bridle, they're running off. But if you can get one that's in the bridle where you've got that feel, you know, that magical feel you got when you're in the corner, when you know you got them, you know. And if they're through the bridle in the corner, they're probably going to come with the gates and you're going to break the barrier. And if they're behind the bridle and you drop their hand, they're not in it so they don't have that feel, then you're late. But if you've got them in your hand and hand says go, body says go, then you win that Houston Rodeo.
Oh, come on. That's freaking Rodeo.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's a guy named Bill Fick. Wonderful guy. Sells more Ford trucks than anybody in the absolute universe. And I don't think they make him special trucks, but
It's that customer service. Bill will take care of you.
Thank you. It's that customer service. Man, I don't have a Bill Fick cap around here. So we'll just go with Buffalo brand.
I sweated through mine.
Anyways, I told him to send me some. He didn't send them anyways. Bill,
Buy you a truck.
Yeah.
Look out there. You're a
And
little
you
too
get
old to
one.
get you a new cap.
Yeah. I tore it. I tore an old trailer house down with that truck one time, and I made a video for Bill. I said, "This is Ford tough right here." But anyways, he calls me a fool, you know. But anyways, he's been a great customer, a great guy. And everybody knows he's got the best customer service, sells more trucks than anybody. So he called me one day and had Cody Johnson on the phone, wanted me to sing him Joe B. So I thought, well, I'm going to write one about Bill and his marvelous friend, Houston Hutto. So it goes like this right here. And I got to say one little kind of bad word, but I think they can bleep it or whatever. Driving in a Bill Fick Ford truck, just trying to make it home. This thing runs like shit and it's about to quit, but it's got a lot of chrome. The old engine light, it's flashing, and the tranny's about to go. Well, it seems to be Bill got the best of me. He said it's only 3 weeks old. Hey, no, boo, Bill. Well, Houston sold it to me. And you know, he was all smiles. It had worn out tires and I could see the wires. She said they'd just been 50 miles. So excited to be driving, I was grinning ear to ear. And as I drove away, I could hear Bill say, "Gorge eating trader back next year." Hey, no, Bill. So anyways.
It's a shame you wouldn't, what was Chris Ledoux, maybe 80s, 90s, killing it?
Well, you know,
You could have been buddies with him, man. National Finals Rodeo, 4th of July rodeos.
I was, I've sang a lot, like back in the day when Ricky and Red Streaks were playing at all them rodeos. I don't know if you ever even heard of them, but I just look at old Ricky and he'd give me the wink and I just walk on stage. They just start playing Amarillo by Morning. Oh, I'd forgotten about this, but I'd made George Strait some bits and we were talking about the bit deal and he was doing pretty well at this time. But I said, hey, we might ought to do a little trading, huh? Because he had that deal with Resistol, probably. I don't know. Anyways, getting free hats, what it boils down to. George says, yeah, I'd do some trading. So I put his hat on at San Antonio. And I'd forgotten about all this. This guy reminded me of this the other day. And so I put on George Strait's hat and I thought, man, I might as well go for it. And I just started singing Amarillo by Morning. So anyways, George, he seemed like a good fellow. I hadn't talked to him in years, but I made a bunch of stuff for him, and that was from Old Soup. And that shirt back there, I don't know if y'all can see it, but when my house burnt down, Roy sent me a box of clothes,
Really?
and that brown shirt was in there.
Wow.
So, anyways, but yeah, I've been real blessed to just have just the best customers in the whole world.
I mean, all these memories, all these years. What is kind of one of the most gratifying things that comes to your mind about your life and your career?
I tell you, a guy named Mark McNamee sent me a video that and he'd made his goddaughter a pair of Spurs. And I told my wife years ago, I said, man, I'm getting tired of doing all this and blah, blah, blah. And she says, no. She said, that when people get that stuff, it means a lot to them. And he sent me a video of her opening up these Spurs. And this is one of many. And I'm telling you what, she was so excited. She wanted Gordy Spurs. And she was just so excited. And you hear, man, you make bits for guys, for their kids, for junior rodeos. And then they go win something and all that, and they send you videos and stuff. And I made Trump a pair of Spurs. That was kind of cool. Sid Miller got them to him.
Really?
And
That's freaking
got
cool.
a big orange pair of hooks. Yeah. So I hope he needs to keep them on. I should have put sharper rowels on them. But anyways, there's so many things that are gratifying. And then, well, and I tell you what was pretty gratifying is when seeing you and Joe Braden swapping around on that bay horse at Houston.
Sure.
And I guarantee you one thing. I know one thing for sure. When you guys are roping off, somebody riding one of my bits is going to win Houston because you both ride the same horse. So, and that's cool. And then all the gold buckles that have been won, and you're watching the 10th round and all that and all that stuff, but it's cool to think that, when somebody dies that has this stuff, their kids might be fighting over it, and then you see a lot of them down here at Teskey's. They've traded them in. So they're just bits, but it's a lot of people try and get a clapper bit from somebody whose granddad rode that for 50 years and it's third generation, probably, unless somebody needs a kidney, you probably ain't getting it, So that, just the fact that that's pretty gratifying right there, and when I first started making these bits, I found a piece of 3/16 rod to run through there and pin them in there. Well, I just found it in a recycle place or something. Well, it was some kind of high temper steel or something. Well, I welded them up. I didn't know nothing. I made 12 of them. I think 13 of them broke. And one of them was for Troy Pruitt. And Herbert Terrio tells me, hey, Gotti, you know them bits you made, Troy? He said, they hit his horse in the chest at Tucson in the short round. I'm like, well, everybody knows I'm making bits. But so I replaced it, obviously, and made Troy a bit when he went and won the world with that. But, there's been so many gold buckles won and so much money won. It's kind of cool. And then like this bit right here with a long shank chain in it. That's long shank bit with a chain. I usually put a bigger chain in there. Man, that bit right there, it's as ugly as homemade sin, as common as they get. But Bug Farr come by my place and had a bit kind of like that. And we kind of came up with that. But I have had more people tell me that, they're literally they're trying to get rid of their head horse, sell their head horse. And like in 2 runs, he'll go to work and go to scoring. So, like I say, sometimes you don't have to have the right bit. You just can't have the wrong one. But stuff like that, when you get somebody a bit and it's more than the bit, we got to be horsemen. We got to have good left hands and all that stuff. But, somebody might call to order a bit and they order a correction with a bunch of copper rings on it. And I'll say, well, what are we trying to get going here? And they're like, I got this head horse. And say, you know what? Would you be opposed to trying this right here? It's simpler and it's cheaper. Let's give it a whirl. And then when you can fix a problem, it's pretty gratifying. And I'm kind of in it for that. I'm not going to do it for free, but anyways, there's so much gratification, that you can't put. And here's another thing that's really gratifying. Like I made a bit. A little boy had, I can't remember what it's called. It's something wrong with his spine, little baby. And I donated a bit to the auction, and God bless the people that paid for it, but it brought $11,500. And so I was kind of a part of that, made the bit. And so when you can do stuff like that, it's real cool. Generated a lot of money for a lot of good causes, rather than me send them $500, you know, I'll make a bit and it'll generate. And I know one deal, somebody, I think a pair of Spurs brought 7,000 and they gave them back and they brought 7,000 again. And then they gave them to the mother of the son that had died.
Wow.
So that kind of stuff is real gratifying.
Yeah, that's special for sure. So it's hard to go anywhere from that, but
can I ask a question real quick? You mentioned the world, early days world champions that you made bits for. Is it too many to count? Can you go through the list of world champions that you have?
That was my question, dog.
Was it?
I love
my
that.
bad.
We're no, it's perfect. We're in sync.
Yes, sir.
These guys are in sync. Yeah, too many to count. I think, and this might sound brash, what have you, but I mean, like Paul Petska and Tommy Blessing, they got a great product that so many team ropers use. But if you want to total up all the world's champions that have like won the world at the MAC, riding this stuff or whatever, when you count them all up between the steer wrestling and the team roping and the calf roping, and then like, you know, and if you want to count Spurs, I mean, dadgum, I mean, there's, you know, Schmidt, I don't think Schmidt ever rode pockets. He rode pockets in my bits quite a bit, but I don't know if he ever rode him at the finals in him, but dadgum, he's told me one year, he said he needed a pair of rock grinders for pockets for the finals. And I talked to him afterwards. He said, yeah, I put him on in the 7th round. So, you know, I mean, rock grinders might have got him a buckle. I don't know. But when you count up bits and Spurs total, it's way too many to count. I mean, like Junior, I think, has been riding my bits and Spurs when he won all 3 of his. And I know Fred was riding him and Joe was riding him. And I mean, dadgum, you know, I mean, it's too many to count. There's been so many nights I've lost count where people riding my stuff would win the go round in 4 events. If you count Lisa with the Spurs on, you know, I mean, win the go round in the calf rope and the team rope and the bulldog and maybe both, like Thorpe and T-Weight. I mean, there's both of them and Spurs, you know, so yeah, it's a bunch. It's a bunch.
I was thinking about it when you were talking. It's pretty cool that in 93, there could be world champions that were riding your bits and Spurs, and then 32 years later, there's not many people that could be in their prime like this and have such a big hand in the sport that they love, like rodeo. For people, you never know how long you're going to be doing this, but it might be 10 years, it might be 40 years of people riding your stuff, using your equipment that you made to win world titles and change lives. I mean,
and that'd be if I got hit by a train tomorrow too. They'll still keep riding, you know, and like. Well, Tuff's riding stuff. I talked to Tuff earlier this year, and he went through Roy's stuff and grabbed one that I made for Roy. I mean, way back when, and he's riding that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Dakota's riding a bunch of Neil's stuff. And I mean, you know, you can go, I mean, Riley, I don't know if Riley's riding Troy's stuff, but Riley, I mean, every time I see Riley back in the box and, like Riley Webb, I think I made him a pair of Spurs when he was 14. I made him a couple bits the other day. I didn't even put it on Facebook. I'm so dang, you know, if you get to putting that stuff on Facebook, you get too many orders, but I should go up on my prices. Hey, this one right here is a good one. You recognize that?
I might recognize that one right there.
Yeah, that's the old peso bit. I mean, you've won a truckload.
Yes, sir.
You won a truckload of that one. So when we were out there through opening Maynard's the other day, that was kind of cool because I was looking and I know that Logan was riding a horse, somebody else was riding a horse, and then you rode the sorrel. And there's all of them were, you know, bits I'd made for. And I just love Logan and Maynard. They're that Maynard, man. He might be one for the pod. I told him, he says, but anyways, that guy, I used to work for Maynard hauling cactus.
Whoa.
Back in Tucson.
People haul cactus.
Yeah, he used to transport Saguaro cactuses.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And he paid me and Grady Lockhart $5 an hour.
Really?
I'm pretty sure almost everything we planted died. Here's a funny one. And Maynard, I hope I don't get you in trouble, but we broke the top off one time. Saguaro, and them suckers are big and they're expensive. And so he took a piece of rebar, stuffed it in the top of it, and stuffed the top back on. Now, that top died. They'll keep growing. They'll spread out and stuff. But anyways, that's kind of funny. Huh, Maynard? But anyways.
Can't wait to hear what he says about that.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of fun, you know. And then like my old buddy Rod Warren's there, and he's roping calves, and you get to visit with him. And there's a lot of them kids, you see them doing stupid stuff, and I don't bother. But I talk with Rod about it a bit, and he comes by and gets one after that, and he's won the average at the bronc riding 4 times, and he's getting better as he ages roping calves. So just all the friends you meet, and being able to help some people out with stuff and solving problems, it's fun.
First guest has ever came prepared, to our knowledge, with note cards. Is there anything that we missed on there?
Well, we talk about good customers. I gotta mention Joe and Joseph Parsons. I think I talked to Joseph one time. He said, I think they got over 50, and they've been with me since then. And, if Joseph called me tomorrow and had to have one, I'd be like, how soon do you need it? You know? And then I think about a guy named Dave Broussard. Oh, one to him. As soon as that last guy got elected, he told me, he said, dude, you need to go up 40%. And I'm like, it scared the heck out of me, but I'm so far behind. And another thing about old Dave, and he's a sharp businessman, and I did, and nobody quit ordering. So, and then another time, we lived in an RV right out there for 2 years while we were building that house, and the AC went out in it. And 2 days later, a brand new air conditioning unit showed up for that motorhome. Compliments to Dave Broussard. And I didn't let him pay for some bits for a while, but anyways, this guy right here.
And he's definitely our first guest to have 4 different caps he wears.
I got to throw one out there to Ray Braven. That guy right there, he's been wonderful. Win the
world in 89.
You take Rabe at his best day. We all talk about who's the greatest. He only got one of them buckles, but boy, you take Rabe on his best day. Oh my goodness.
In 89, was he 23 when he won that gold buckle? He was young. He was under 25 and just kind of said,
pretty young.
I did it, and I'm
still pretty young.
I'd love to talk to him and let him tell his story, but that's pretty cool. When he talked to me, I was like, man, that's pretty crazy.
And to look at him, he's not big and tall, long, but I'm guessing his arms must be long, because he could tie them big calves like it was nothing. You'd think, because you listen to Shay talk about couldn't reach their flanks and stuff, and Ray wasn't real tall, but I'm telling you, he could buy them big calves like Johnny Emmons or Joe B or Fred would. Just he'd spin it on a 300-pounder at Cheyenne like it's a 180-pound Longhorn. I don't know how he did it to this day. That gets you a saddle from Ray. He makes good ones. This guy right here.
We need to get our merch out here. We need to be doing this.
Jeff Azaleas, great guy. Got the sale barn, southeastern Oklahoma. If you got something with hooves you need to sell, there you go. I cannot verify that this is true, but if you go to buy them number 1 beef calves that weigh in 180, he can sell them to you for about $200 a round. But if you're selling them, he'll get you $1,200. Really? I don't know how he does it.
Wow, it's unbelievable.
I don't know how he does it.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah. But anyways, that guy, he's a great guy. And there's a guy up there in Minnesota. We used to do the mounted shooting deal a little bit. And who doesn't want to ride a horse and shoot a gun, right? But there's a kid up there, and he's not a kid anymore, Chad Little. And my gosh, that guy sold me a lot of bits, and a lot of bits in that area. Appreciate him. And then Mossy. Man, I tell you what, Mossy sold me. He sold me a lot of bits. A bunch, and he knows what he's doing. Moss tells them to buy one. They're going to buy one.
However much money I spent with you came from Moss.
Yeah,
I was down there, and I didn't know a dang thing about a bit. I had no idea. I just went as fast as possible, and he got me on Gordy Alderson bits. Never left.
And credit to you on that, because you called me and you said, make me a bunch of bits you think I need. And it's like, winners, they'll buy a horse over the phone. They don't have to see, they might not even have to see videos. They might go off somebody's word. But winners win, and winners make winner-type decisions. And, you knew, I probably knew more about what you needed than you did. And you said, just make me a bunch of them. And I made you a bunch of them, and I got a picture of it. And I don't think I've seen you back. And if you do, it's fine with me, but I don't think I've seen you or Joe Braden back in the box anywhere in the last, since you got them, that you weren't riding one of mine.
Who knows what the future holds at all? But since 2019, I haven't rode a bit that you didn't make. So that's pretty wild. Yeah, I was driving up here thinking about that. I was like, I literally own a bit right now that Gordy Alderson didn't make.
I got to appreciate your support, and you get me a lot of TV time. Boy, you guys roped your butt off at them circuit finals. You weren't packing your reins. You're leaving them at the horn.
Yes, sir.
Working on that.
Yes, sir.
Then of course, Joe B, man, that guy, he's done, he's been fantastic. He's rude, he's bossy, he's impatient, and I love him. And he's got so dang much influence. It's so far reaching, and he has sold me a lot of bits. He sold me a lot of bits. Sold a lot of horses that were riding my bits and said, hey, and he's like, hey, Gordo, I got to have this. I said, all right, Joe. And then of course, Fred, if you look through that book, Why We Win, I think every single page that shows a picture of him, he's riding mine. And Fred has sold me he sold me a lot of bits, a lot of bits.
They're saying he sold me a lot of bits.
Yeah.
He sold me a lot of bits.
Yeah. And then Hanchy, that guy, he's the first time he won a round at the finals. It's the only time I ever had a patch on anything. He said, hey, Gordy, you want to put a patch on a shirt? I remember he won a round at Vegas and I was out there and brought me up on stage and all that. And he said, that's pretty cool, huh, Gordon? I said, I tell you what's cool. I could give a crap about being on stage because I've been on stage plenty, but I said, I was impressed with the way I didn't know that guy could speak like he can. Mm-hmm. He's quite the orator.
That's what I was telling him. He's quiet, but he's always steps up when called upon,
Yeah, and especially in the short round with his rope. A guy named Marty Miller sold me a lot of bits. Just went to his funeral the other day. Was Paul Bear. I call that the old Marty Miller roper. He didn't come up with it, but dadgum, he that he might have been the guy I sent that to say, what do you think? Think this is going to work? And he sold me a lot about him, Felicia, dear people. Breezy, old Mike Arnold. That guy sold me a lot of bits, man. Yeah. He hooked me up with a White Imus, and that's how that grinder got paid for.
Wow.
I made White a bunch of stuff. I said, hey, dude, can I have your credit card number? I'm just going to pay for that grinder.
Yep.
He said, whatever, though, And then my old buddy Jim Fuller, learned a lot from him, quite the horseman. And I'm just sitting here looking at this list of champs. I'm just thinking Calf Rope, Troy, Caleb, Haven, Hanchy, Cody, Tyson, D, Pickett, Trevor and Tuff, Lisa, Lockhart. Well, she's actually never won the world, but she's the highest money winner and won the average and all that other stuff. Got a dear friend down in Mark Atkinson. He's down there. He's down on the Gulf. Guy knows a lot about horses and, man, that guy's got a lot of influence. He sold me a bunch of bits. So I just got a lot of people to thank. Al Dunning sold me a bunch of bits. And I could be selling a lot of stuff to Al right now to this day, but I can't keep up. He wants them for retail. And then, of course, Team Saddlery. Mm-hmm. Man, they've been awesome. Teskey's, they're so good to deal with. They're just awesome down there, too. Teskey's had a lot of stuff I need. And while I'm thanking people, I can't forget, man, I tell you what, my Lord and Savior, back in July 2nd, 92, I showed up at Red Lodge, Montana. And Brad McReynolds had won Pinoca. And he had the longest face you ever seen. And I said, hey, you won Pinoca? He said, well, it wasn't much for roping. And everybody was just down. No cell phones in them days. And that's when them guys flew into Mount Rainier. Randy Dearlam, Mike Kern, Dave P. Smith, and David Bowen. And I remember Gene Baker. He was up. And he just found out, and he was dear friends with them guys, and he's backed in the box, and he's trying to rope. He's got tears running out of his eyes. Man, it was tough. And then when I still remember when they turned Ronnie Kern's steer out, he went walking down that arena. I thought, man, that plane sure enough crashed, And so shortly after that, Willard Moody was doing a little church deal at Cheyenne. He seized the moment. I'd never heard the gospel till I was 28 years old. Never heard it. And me and my wife, we gave our life to the Lord. And boy, that was a good decision right there.
Wow.
Best, smartest thing we ever did. Promise you that. And so, man, I gotta thank him, for and we've had a couple of hard times, we had the house burned down and my daughter got blown up and she's fine now, but we've had some trials, and all it's ever done for me is make my faith stronger. But when you're 62 and you got kids and grandkids, and I'm next in line, my dad's gone. And we typically start every morning with a vocal prayer of gratitude and pray for pray for those that need it. But man, if you can start your day off with gratitude, it's just, there's a saying, if you had today what you'd thank the Lord for yesterday, would you have anything? We'd typically be doing okay. We try to focus on the gratitude. And there's so many days when we'll have something over here. I got all 3 kids and all 3 grandkids in my backyard. And it just don't get no better than that. It don't get any better than that. Quick story about Kincaid and being aware. Kincaid Henry, I see him roping at Jackie Moore's roping and the memorial ad for his son. And I just had made Kincaid a bit, and I'm watching him going, I'm like, that's too much bridle for that horse. So I catch up with Kincaid like after the first round. I said, dude, that's too much bridle for that horse. He goes out and gets in the trailer and gets one of Callie's gags and throws it on there. I see him down there warming up, riding around. He throws some feed store gag bit on and goes back to the rope. And so guys got to be paying attention, and, Kincaid, he plays dumb, but he ain't very dumb.
Hey, one thing about Kincaid, he'll pick up on something. He's smart enough to listen.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I sent a bit down to him. Mario's so cool, but he was talking about how he kind of likes to float. And I had somebody heading to Houston, and I had an old mouthpiece that's about half worn out, and I threw it in some shanks, sent it down there to him. And, I didn't think he'd just crack it out of Houston. And I said, did you get that bit? He said, yeah, it worked good tonight. We won the round, I think. And that was on a bit that he got that afternoon. He just put it in old Mario's mouth. And so smart enough to, I guess, maybe trust me or know his horse but like back to you. You just said, hey, make me a bunch of good bits, instead of telling me what to make you. Moss probably said, hey, dumbass. Just have me make you some good bits.
I'm glad I had you had a long enough wait list that I had some time to round up some money to pay for all them suckers.
There you go, baby. Yeah, and they're going up. Yeah. Yeah, so I do apologize to people that they've got something ordered and they wait forever. But man, I got 3 grandsons and I'm 62 and it's like, Merle Haggard said, turn me loose, set me free, somewhere in the middle of Texas. Yeah. So I'm getting to the point now where I just don't care quite as much as far as some of that stuff. But, most everybody, it seems like in the craft kind of gets to that point, and you hear about, he won't build nothing anymore. I'm still building. I'm still down here all day long every day. And I don't have any help. So if you get a bit from me, there's pretty good odds I touched it, so, and even if I get a helper, I'm still going to be the one building it. But yeah, it's been good. It's been wonderful. And I plan on, cool thing about this is don't have to retire. I was thinking about all this retirement one time and I listened to Charles Stanley's sermon and he said, there's nothing in the Bible about retiring. I thought, well, good. Now I don't need to worry about that anymore.
It's true.
And so I don't ever plan on, I'd imagine if I had $1 billion in the bank, I remember I'd been doing something somewhere the other day. And I thought, I settled down in that chair and turned on that welder. And I thought, man, I'd been gone. And I thought, man, there's no place I'd rather be right now in the world than sitting right here. But it's kind of like a convict trying to get back in his cell to a degree. I mean, we're all creatures of habit, but no, even after this long. But I tell you what makes it good is, I got the support of my wife and I had the support of her family. I still have the support of her family. Her grandpa made a huge difference. And then just the customers, man. And I know a lot of people, the public will drive you crazy, but in the same breath, I would not want to not be building for the public, and that's why if you want to be, you got to call me, and I'm like, if you were to text me and say, hey dude, I need this and that, I'd probably text you back, say great, but man, if you're going to order one, you got to call me and I'm probably going to find out more about than you want to know just cause I love people, I mean,
Cole, if you want a bit, turn them charmers on. You charm old Gordy, you might get bumped up a little. You never know.
Come on.
And you're not roping anymore?
No, sir. Cameraman.
Man, I tell you, I made you a little something, Ty. We do gifts here at this podcast.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet right
That's
there, man.
sweet right there, man.
I made
That's
one
pretty
for
cool.
you too, but I don't think that probably it has any application.
Well,
Unless
he
you
has
wanna-
a sister that ropes. And
Named
she's
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne Harris.
That's
There you
pretty
go,
crazy.
Cheyenne, there you go.
Wow.
And it's a rim shoe, so I didn't have a place to put initials, so it's generic, so that's good.
Well, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Heck yeah.
some hoof picks.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Gordy.
you, sir.
You're welcome.
And
You're
thanks for
welcome.
getting on, man. We've been talking about this for months. But
I'm tickled pink, man. I just and once again, big thanks to the Cowboy channel.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Pretty cool.
Well, shoot, man, I
Thank
just
you,
want to
sir.
say this. When you asked me to do this, I thought, man, I don't know if I want to do it because you're going to get overwhelmed and with orders and all this and stuff. And then the more I got thinking about it, I thought, heck yeah, I want to do that. So I got to tell you, I was really excited about being able to do this deal.
Hey,
And it's wonderful.
we're really excited to have you.
Yes,
so
sir.
thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thanks for coming on, man. This was fun. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, dude.
Yeah. It was big fun. And I'm probably going to think about something I wished I'd have said or
No.
this and that and another thing. But anyways, yeah, I just thank so many people because like Dwight Yoakam said one time, he thanked everybody at a live concert. He said, man, I did this for a long time for free. Wasn't for y'all, I'd still be singing for free. And so, man, I'm not anything without my customer base and all the great customers I have and the long term and the friendships I've gotten to develop,
Mm,
and probably could just go about anywhere, stay anywhere, too. I mean,
yes, sir.
if I got stuck in Northern California, I'd call Joe Claret. By golly, I bet he'd have a room for me,
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what's pretty cool about our industry. I tell him all the time. I mean, no matter who it is or what it is, somebody's going to take care of you and, give you a place to stay or, warm
Yeah.
meal. So,
And then when somebody gets in a bind or there's a wreck or somebody's sick or God forbid they die or something, man, everybody rallies so good, and I mean, and it's a small world. It's a close knit bunch of folks. And I believe, you can go through life believing in scarcity and operate through fear, or you can go through life believing in love and abundance. And Jesus wants us to He wants us to love people and trust in His abundance because it's right there for you if you want it. I mean, it's just abundance beyond. We got to, as on earth as it is in heaven, it's here right now. Abundance is it's everywhere, especially if you live in America. So we're all a blessed bunch, man. But I sure appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. This is
Appreciate
fun.
you.
guys. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing us into your shop too.
You got it, fellas. See you, man.